All right, next group, offensive line, a position that keeps getting thinner and thinner, right? You've got the addition of Josh Connerly, but he's not there yet. That'll be a summer enrollee sort of deal in the class of 2022. So, they lost Jonathan Dennis and Jalen Jeffers, and now former four-star recruit Jonah Miller, who had actually switched the defensive side of the ball. He's leaving the program as well. That was probably to free up scholarships. They just don't have, that many available, and they've been bringing in a lot of guys as well. Especially with Kyler Casper recommitting to the class of 2022. So I think that probably played into part of the reason some of these guys left. But the offensive line, there's a lot of bodies there, but there's not a lot of names outside of the top guys that, I would say are ready to play immediately. So you got Ryan Walk, number 53. He's a starter from last year. So is TJ Bass, still rocking number 56. Dawson Jaramillo, number 70. Big Sala, number 71. Stephen Jones, 74. And Alex Forsyth, 78. Those are the guys who we know are going to anchor this offensive line, which is probably the strongest unit, right? I was talking up the tight ends a moment ago, and I truly believe that they are very, very good and very, very deep. But this offensive line was probably the best in the Pac-12 last year, and they're all back except for George Moore the fourth. So I'm very, very confident in this offensive line, but if they had a couple injuries here and there, right, Dawson Jaramillo would have to step up. He's a guy who rotated in and out, played a couple of positions. So did Ryan Walk and TJ Bass. They've moved around a lot. But other guys, Marcus Harper, number 55, he was a three-star recruit and is a sophomore, hasn't really seen the field. Number 60, Kanan Rossi, who went to Sunset High School, but not a big-time recruit. He was number 89, I think, in the state of Oregon. So he's more of a practice squad kind of guy. Charlie Pickard, three-star from Jesuit. Haven't seen him a lot. Cole Young, Bailey Jaramillo. Bram Walden, I think, is the name to watch out for if there's an injury in this unit once the season rolls around, because he's kind of the highest rated recruit. He's a four-star from Scottsdale. I think with all the transfers, his name is probably moving up the depth chart and is somebody who, at least from a recruiting perspective, has the most potential to be an impact offensive lineman should some of these guys go down, which you certainly don't want to happen, but it's just a reality. Alex Forsyth missed a bunch of games last year. Ryan Walk had to take snaps at center. Then they moved George Moore around. TJ Bass was going from left guard to left tackle. So I like the positional versatility a lot. I like the depth. I like the experience that they have coming back. But it just feels like they're a little bit, walking on eggshells, so to speak, with just experience. They don't have guys who have been in the program for a number of years who are expected to be starters, right? And that's why we might see, if there's an injury too, maybe Josh Connerly shoots up the depth chart. You never know. But Bram Walden, I think, would be the guys, or one of the guys who would be a candidate to step in should a major injury take place. You also have Fiope Lalulu. Lalaulu? I'm sorry. That was not even close. He's wearing number 75, Michael Wooten, number 77. So I'm sure we'll see all these guys at some point, in the spring game. But as you look at the offensive line, I feel really, really good about it. I truly do. And I just think that I hope they can stay healthy more than any other position, because they're really going to be the anchor of this team as they were a season ago. Let's go to the guys that they're blocking in practice, and those are the defensive linemen. So you've got the defensive end position. I've mentioned this before, and why I've said I think it's potentially a position of weakness depending on how they use, outside linebackers like Anthony Jones or DJ Johnson, who are probably going to be defensive ends. But there's only two defensive ends listed on the roster. Brandon Dorlus is one. Maybe they're going to shift him out there. Bradyn Swinson is the other, who was a solid player last year, but he's not an anchor type guy on the defensive line who you can rely on to consistently get after the quarterback. He'll have a sack every now and then, make some nice plays, but if he were to make a leap this year, that would do a lot for Oregon's defense, because I just don't know how they're going to get after the passer. So Dorlus is going to wear number 3 again, Swinson number 44, and then the guys that they'll be joined by on the defensive line. So Popo Aumavae, who was the second highest rated defensive lineman or interior defensive lineman in the Pac-12 last year. Number 1, of course, Brandon Dorlus. He's wearing number 50 again. Louis Cresto, 51. Sam Taimani, the Washington transfer, and the 5th highest graded interior defensive lineman last year in the Pac-12. He's wearing number 55. Jackson Powers Johnson, who was an offensive lineman, has switched over to defensive line. And I just wonder, because there appears to be a little bit more depth in this particular unit, if at some point he doesn't have to switch back to offensive line. Maybe, they feel confident in the guys who are there, who we just haven't heard from on the offensive side. But Jackson Powers Johnson, number 58, looked like he could hold his own in the Alamo Bowl and was, a solid player out there. Practice reports have been good about him too. Jake Shipley's number 90. Christian Williams, guy we've seen sparingly over the last season or so, number 91. Suava Poti, 94. Keon Ware Hudson. He could pop. I think if he does, he's wearing number 95. So look for him in the spring game this week. See if he maybe has a chance to shoot up the depth chart, kind of be the second on the second line of defensive tackles, along with Sam Taimani, who will be behind Aumavae and Dorlus. And then number 7, Michael Efese, and then number 99, Keanu Williams. So those are the big guys up front on either side to look for in the spring game this weekend. And man, I'm just so stoked for it. I want to see all these guys. I want to see what sort of players are going to stand out that we didn't expect. I want to see which guys are going to, overperform, even perhaps some high expectations. Maybe we see Jeffrey Bassa, who, if you've been with me for a while, I'm a huge fan of. Maybe he looks even better. Maybe he is more suited to play outside linebacker than strong safety, which is where I'd want to play him. So that's the offensive line. The defensive line,